Good afternoon, everybody. I'm attorney Danyl Patterson, candidate for the 190th state rep seat right here in Philadelphia. For those who don't know, I am so West Philly baby. So calling out Dunlap and Haddington, Mill Creek, Cedar Park, Cathedral Park, Carroll Park, East Parkside, West Belmont, looking at Winfield Heights, my friends over there in Winfield Heights, and coming across the bridge right on into my friends and family in West Allegheny. I'm Danyl Patterson, and for those who don't know, it is Feel Good Friday. So there's a lot to feel good about because there's a lot going on in the community, and I've got some really exciting news that I'd like to share, personally from growing up in the 190th. I got some great news today about something that's going on there, and it's the ultimate shout out, at least to me. Sorry, I'm coming to you a little bit late today. Every so often I forget, like, I'm a practicing attorney. Like, I actually have to practice law. And every so often I have court Zoom meetings. And, you don't get to control the court controls you. As anybody who's ever sat in a crowded courtroom, sometimes we sit in crowded Zoom waiting rooms, just waiting to go. But you know what? That means that the court cases are moving and some people are getting some vital services and important services because they're really only doing emergency stuff right now. So if we were in court, that means it was an emergency. But I do apologize for not being timely. So friends, what's going on out in the 190? Well, specifically, y'all know we have been told that they're extending the lockdown down to June 4th, at least for our area. So yesterday, Governor Wolf told us that we are keeping the gates closed in Philadelphia at least until at least June 4th, and that he's going to start the yellow phase in 24 counties as of today. And he also announced some additional counties up near Pittsburgh, so around Allegheny County, that are going to start opening up next Friday. But if we don't know anything else, we know that Philadelphia is going to be last, or Philadelphia and the surrounding counties are going to be last specifically. So what's that meaning for us? Well, and can they do it? So for those of you who don't know, it's been going down in Center City today. So we'll even just start right there and jump on in. So the Open Up PA folks showed up, and the Freedom for Democracy folks, or whatever, because I'm still a little bit confused as to what the actual goal is. But the protesters showed up to protest Philadelphia being closed, which is now a little bit ridiculous because they went to Harrisburg, which is where the governor is, and it didn't work out for them there. As a matter of fact, they filed some lawsuits. Businesses filed lawsuits saying that it was unconstitutional. People filed lawsuits saying that this was beyond the citizens' rights. I'm sorry, beyond the governor's rights to be able to quarantine us. When in actuality, there's a Supreme Court case that goes all the way back and tells us very specifically that quarantine is actually one of the oldest of the governmental rights. As a matter of fact, it goes all the way back to smallpox, so like 1919. So it's been around literally for 100 years and has been upheld. But this group decided to challenge it at the state level, and it went all the way to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And so now what happened? Just today, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court just yesterday, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court determined that it was not an unconstitutional an expansion of the gubernatorial rights to actually issue the executive order keeping us quarantined. So what does that mean for you and I? It means that we need to abide by the governor's order, at least as it pertains to folks in Pennsylvania. Now, I have to give, Governor Wolf his credit because it was, it's not just a, hey, open on up and get out there. He thought through a plan. So that means that, the health and safety of the people really is tantamount, and it's what's, been driving this. And I applaud those efforts because, hey, we're just in a situation where nobody knows what to do, how to do it. We're all definitely on a whole new rule book, right? And so the governor did this, based on the criteria, actually, initially from Trump and the CDC. So that's what's interesting. And then Trump decided, hey, nobody listened to my order. I think the state should just go ahead and open up. So what happened? We had all these protesters out, and they were protesting in Michigan. They're protesting in PA. I think today they are protesting in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina as well. And so now what's going on? They are down at City Hall, and that's why I'm confused. Are they meaning that they want to open up Philly? Or are they saying they want to open up PA? And if you want to open up PA, why are you protesting against Mayor Kinney to open up Philly? Because Mayor Kinney has to do what the governor tells him to, because Pennsylvania is still, Philadelphia is still a part of Pennsylvania. Now, let's just give you some basic civics, right? So you've got the city, the local municipality, then you've got the state, which is above it. I got to come up a little bit higher. So that's the city and that's the state. And then you got the feds. So they're overreaching. So this means that Kenny's rights and authority does not extend above the governors. And the governors does not extend above the presidents. This is supposed to be how government works as far as the different levels. Now we know all politics is local. We love to say that. So maybe I thought maybe, hey, that's why they're out and they're out there protesting Kenny. But then I started looking at the folks, even in the Inquirer, writing the articles and reading, on the Associated Press, the folks who were out there. So I really don't understand why folks have to be shipped in from Indiana and Illinois and Massachusetts and coming in from Virginia to tell me to open up Philadelphia. So is that local politics or is that an agenda? I don't know. That's still a political question that I don't know the answer to. But I do know that the folks who were down there did not look like me. That's what I'm going to say. The folks down there definitely didn't look like they were from Philadelphia. And as a matter of fact, I actually watched several of the lives of people who were down there. And they were like actually, kind of doing on the spot interviews because, it's 2020. And everybody can be anything during the quarantine. There's quarantine rules. You can be talk show host like me. You can decide that you're going to be a makeup artist. You can, get you a lamp and become an at-home makeup artist. You can become a beauty influencer. You can be a fashion influencer. So, hey, I don't know. You can also be a journalist and reporter. So that's what we do as we are trying to keep each other informed and entertained and kind of not go crazy while we try to feel connected, like we're doing this together, right? So, interestingly, when I talked to you about this yesterday, what did I tell you? I said, so they're going down to Center City, Philadelphia. They're going to come through West Philadelphia to Center City, and they're going to be met with the opioid epidemic, because that's pretty much all that's going on downtown right now. We know about the homeless problem. We know what's been going on down there with SEPTA. We know what's been going on, under the Market L and the subway. We know about these. We've seen these things, and we saw them pre-COVID, right? Right. So who's down there being interviewed? I actually watched a little, clip from the news at noon, and they found 3 people who were out there and they didn't have masks and gloves on. And so the reporter was like, well, you don't have masks and gloves on. And they were like, oh, so one lady was like, well, because I was sleeping on the bench over there and I came over to see what what all the to-do was about. So they had no clue that they were in the middle of a protest. And then the other young lady said, well, I'm homeless because I got stuck here in the middle of quarantine. I was in the process of moving and I had nowhere to go. So she wasn't down there protesting. She thought there was actually a food giveaway. So that's the line that she thought she was getting into. Now, that's just who I saw. But apparently the official protest does not start until 5 p.m. So I'm going to tell everybody to stay tuned to your news channels, because apparently that's when we're really going to start protesting. So let me see. Oh, thanks, folks. I got some folks coming in. Hey, Mia, Bobby, Jamise, Zahira, thank you so much for joining me today. But now, so that's what's going on the local level, and I really don't know what they're hoping to achieve. Can somebody tell me? I really want to know if anybody's read anything, any research about it. And as I reminded you that at least 2 of the groups that actually applied for those permits are allegedly on the FBI hate crime watch list, allegedly, and and that there were allegedly threats against our safety as far as continuing to spread the virus. Now, what I also thought was interesting as I watched it, I watched for about 40 minutes and at various different times, because I had Zoom meetings today, so I was popping in and out. And what I also noticed was not only did people not look like me, were they not from my area. The other thing is, so if you believe that it's a hoax and that we are safe, why are y'all out there in masks? I want to know that. Like, what's up with the mask? Like, so, and also they were like in their cars and honking. So I really expected, like, droves walking down the street like we saw in Harrisburg. I expected the folks out there with the pitchforks, in Lynchburg, Virginia. That's really what I expected, but we didn't see that in Center City, Philadelphia, or at least we didn't see it yet. But I'm gonna tell you who I was worried about. I was worried about the Philadelphia police officers who had to be responsible for this crowd control. That's who I was worried about, because now we're paying them, and we're paying them a lot of times, overtime and double time, because we know so many of the force has been sick. We know this. There have been the reports, and now they got to deal with crowd control for this. So this is going to end up costing the taxpayers even more money and more of a detriment to our health and safety. But that's the reports, right? There's still a lot to feel good about because it's Feel Good Friday. So what do we know? As of Monday, SEPTA's going back and they're opening up some of their routes again. So, we were on a limited schedule. No trolleys were running. Very few buses were running, and they were only running specifically in, certain neighborhoods that were kind of exclusive, and also there was, like, you could only enter through the back door. You could only come on a certain way. So now, after we saw so many of our brothers and sisters, from SEPTA, the Transit Workers Union, unfortunately, were infected. So many died because of their continuous exposure. They put some protections in place for those workers, and that's something to be, feel good about. So the buses are going to go back in service, and we're going to have plexiglass to warden off to try and stop the spread of the virus, to limit contact. No longer will it be just the back door only. So we're going to enter through the front of the bus and exit through the back door the way we always have. In addition to that, we're going to be limited to 20 riders on a bus and 25 riders on a trolley. So that's good. So that means that we're going to have literally 50% of the seats, not 50% of the space, 50% of the seats that are available on the bus be used. And that's great, because we saw once they took the actual so many buses and things out of commission, yeah, they were out of commission, but we saw people were still up on top of each other, and we saw the pictures of people standing on top of each other, sitting on top of each other, so that they could still get to their essential jobs and things. So that's a great thing, because that means that we're getting ready for our phasing, right? We're getting ready for a time when we are not so much on restrictions. And I like that, because what you don't want to see is one day we get the note that Philly was finally out of the red zone, maybe to the yellow zone. And then it's, hey, everybody hits the street all at the same time. And so what happens with that? Everybody hits the street all at the same time. The buses have not been put back in the place, and public transportation. And so now we've got everybody, and everybody's stuck. And so that is a problem. Yes, and fares will resume. So it's no longer the free rides, opening to full stream, and the fares will resume. And that's good too, to an extent, because that means that SEPTA is not solely running off of the backs of the taxpayer economy, meaning that there's additional support for what is actually, for SEPTA's existence. SEPTA is a huge part of the state budget. It's always running at a deficit. We know that the city kicks in. So it's actually kind of a good thing that we can get back to the point where we're collecting fares. So Sharon said, I got on the bus, just me and one person. Why the man try to sit with me? You know what, girl? I'm going to say this, Sharon. I see that all the time. I swear I could be the only person on the plane and somebody will come sit next to me. It's like, or you be the all, because I love to go to the movie by myself, or, back when you could go. And religiously, I'd be like some random movie, because I'll watch anything. Y'all don't know that about me. I will watch anything. The movies is my respite. I just love to go there. It's my alone time. Nothing better than the movies in the dark with a bottle of water and, movie butter popcorn, because it's got to be the movie popcorn. And somebody will come sit right next to me. And then I had to get up and move. But I mean, for real, dude, for real, like this where you want to sit in the dark with me? I don't know, little skeevy. No, you don't punch him out, Bob. You don't do that. You don't punch him out. Sometimes, I guess now in the age of the 6 feet distance, there's been a lot of grisly looks going on. So in addition to the changes with the fare, in addition with interest in exiting, there's also more safety measures. So they're actually closing down some of the stations so that they can clean them. And I am happy to report that 52nd Street Depot is actually going to be one that's going to be closed. And I want everybody to be aware of that, because that's the life's blood into most of my community, 52nd Street, because that's where all the transfers and things occur. And it's real busy intersection, but it looks like a war zone at that corner. My team has been out there 2 different times to try and clean it up. And I swear, by the time we finished one side of the street, the other side was right back to where it needed, to where we got started, because they're still hanging out on those corners, outside of those stores that are open right there, 52nd and Market. They're still, it's a meetup spot, and it's still busy traffic foot area. So I'm actually glad that they're going to close it down so that they can do a thorough deep cleaning. And then my understanding is that they're going to start rolling that so they can keep several of them, clean. They can keep them more clean. The same with the buses. So the subway is still going to be back to 24-hour service. But the Market Frankfurt line is going to run on limited service again, so that they can clean the Market Frankfurt line. So that is great stuff, right? That's something good to feel good about. In addition to that, feeling good about that, that means that since they're going to be cleaning up those stations, the folks who've been living there, the rise in the homelessness that have been there, when traffic is flowing, that means that folks can't live there so much. And we're seeing that even out at the airport, where they're finding folks are living in, used hangars. They're living in like baggage claim areas, and they're finding them because they're not heavily patrolled anymore. So a lot of times the stuff is self-report. Like, people will walk by and they'll see something, and so they say something. But without a steady flow of traffic, what happens is that now there's nobody to see and report. So that's a great thing and something to feel good about. The other thing is that there's been a call for more testing at the homeless shelters and sites, and more protections for those workers to get them proper PPE. So now we're really starting to see where the impact has been of this, virus and the shutdown, and who's been responding. And we see we actually have a lot more frontline workers than we really thought. Okay, it's not just the doctors and nurses, as I keep telling you. It's the guys that empty the trash can, the maintenance folks, the people that work at the front desk. It's the SEPTA bus drivers. It's the folks who are doing traffic safety, out on our streets. It's the people who are taking the tokens. We got to be responsible to all these people. It's the people who have been dealing with our underserved populations, dealing with rehab, making sure that people have been getting their continued treatments. So those are great things. What else do I feel good about? Hey, they're going to stop the limitations on scheduled surgery, scheduled and necessary surgery. Now, mind you, this is not, boob job o'clock and Brazilian butt lift time. It's not. We're doing these necessary screenings. So we're going back to mammography, screening for cancer, those regularly scheduled things that, they felt like it's, we're in the middle of an emergency situation. You can be okay without that. Now, please know, folks were getting their cancer treatment and those kind of things all along. But, early detection is key, as we know from all of these things. So here we are, we're close to 9 weeks out. And so now we're going back to that. So that means that folks can get their screenings. And the other thing is, hey, now they've got the system for telehealth so that you can get the referrals that you need so that you can get your screening. So they phase this up so that they're ready to deal with the people. Yes, A Street is bad and smelly. It's very, very scary. Yes, well, I don't know if they're thoroughly cleaning A Street, because A Street remaining open, Zahira. Please thoroughly clean 8th and Market Street. That looks like another opioid addiction center. We do know that they are thoroughly cleaning all of them, but A Street is not going to be one that's temporarily closed. So that wasn't on the list, Zahira. So now, what else do I feel good about? So we've talked about that. We've talked about the opening. We've talked about SEPTA. And I want you all to be excited because, hey, there's going to be a rental assistance program. I posted on my page already. It goes into effect on the 12th. I think that is Tuesday. Let me look because I want y'all to know specifically what day it is. Let me see here. I just want to make sure the 12th is Tuesday. Yes, on Tuesday, May 12th, online only, there is if you are feeling the crunch of COVID, there is a rental assistance program. Oh, Tamika, oh, we're going to talk about the election, believe me. So she says she feels good about the upcoming election on June 2nd. People need to send in their applications for a mail-in ballot because some people think that a mail-in ballot will automatically come in the mail. Some of your polling sites will not be open. Tamika, we're going to talk all about that. And we're going to talk about the fact that we actually have a full understanding of what the plan is and what people need to do. So that makes me feel good as well. That makes me feel good as well. Where can people sign up for telehealth? Donna, that's very important. So what you can do is if you if you have a regular doctor, you just contact your regular doctor. And what happens is that your regular doctor's office will the assistant will schedule for a telehealth just like they schedule you to come into the office. They'll ask you exactly, is this a routine visit? Is there a problem? Is there an issue? What is it that you need? And you can do your telehealth. So what they do, I actually had to confirm all of this today so that I would be able to answer such questions. So that you talk to the assistant, they'll ask you what number is best. To that number, they'll send you a verification number code because they want to make sure it's you. Before you see the doctor on that day, they're going to schedule you for an appointment just like anything else. You can choose to do it via phone or via a Zoom or FaceTime to your phone. There's actually a program that automatically comes up. You just click the link. They prefer to actually physically see you since it is telehealth because some of knowing about what's going on with you is physically looking at you. And then they'll proceed from there. Now, this is important because you can get your referrals for COVID testing as well. So thank you, Sharon. She feels good about the information I'm giving. Well, you know what, Sharon, that makes me feel good. If I can just impact one person, if I can spend just one person, then we're doing a great job. I feel good about about your info that you are giving out. I'm not feeling much from the local politicians. If not for this forum, I would be clueless about much of what you're sharing. Thank you so much. Well, Sharon, I'm really just here to share the information, to make the folks aware and try to help some guidance, because that's when I say we're all in this together and we will do better together. So that's how you get your telehealth medicine appointment. And also, if you don't have a primary care physician or you haven't seen your physician, because this actually happened to someone, one of my constituents' doctor actually fell ill from COVID. So they didn't know this and kept calling. So we actually called the number on the back of their ID, the insurance the insurance 1-800 insurance or whatever it is, and we're able to get them matched with the new primary. And the actual insurance company told us that the doctor's office was closed for COVID. That's how we learned about it. And so you have to make sure if you don't get a call, if you don't get through, then call your insurance company. So now, what else do I feel good about? Remember that young man that we had here, Mr. Khalil Thomas? He came and told you that he was doing the mobile Easy Stick mobile. Y'all remember that? He's doing the COVID testing at your door. Well, he's helped quite a few folks in our community, and we're excited, and we've got some lined up. I told you this is our Mother's Day gift to the community. So we've got some lined up. He's going to come back and talk about it. Of course, we can't identify people because that's sharing medical information, but we've really been in access to the community. In addition to the fact that now Sarah Health Center is actually standing to be able to do the COVID testing. So I don't know if y'all know that Sarah had a health center. So some years ago, my pastor was actually on the board that actually put the health center there. So I worked with them in stabilizing it and their outreach to the community. So I am so proud that Dr. Johnson, the uh, healthcare center, that's what they called it after Dr. Johnson, one of the infamous doctors from our community that was serving our community all along, has now found the niche to be able to reach out more into the community. There is a 1-800, I'm sorry, there is a number that you have to call to make an appointment. It is not drive through, it is by appointment only. And I will also list that on the website so that you can give a call. But if you're home and you have insurance and you decide that you want to use Mobile Easy Stick, there's an even bigger benefit to using Mobile Easy Stick right now over there with Khalil Thomas. As of Wednesday, Khalil is doing antibody testing. So not just the regular testing, he's doing the antibody testing as well. So I had to really understand this, because it's like all we hear about is, oh, you got to get the antibody test, the antibody test, the antibody test. So the antibody test tells you whether or not you've been exposed to COVID, not just whether or not you actually have a reactive COVID test, the thing pharyngeo down your nose back to the back of your throat. That's what it means. So that means that you'll be able to determine whether or not you've actually been exposed to the virus. So even those folks who've been asymptomatic, and that quite possibly they do not know. We know it's a changing virus, information changes, whether or not you will know whether or not you don't know from this test as of this time. It has not been confirmed whether it'll be able to determine that you have some immunity to the disease. However, it will be able to tell you whether or not you've been exposed and not had actual symptoms. And it will be able to tell you whether you've been exposed, period, not just within that 21-day window. So this is good stuff. So for all those folks who are saying, yes, all centers will be testing. I was just ordered back to work. Yes, all centers will be testing. Wayne, we're trying to ramp it up. And for those of you who don't know, Rite Aid is doing COVID testing now. CVS is doing COVID testing now. I don't know. I haven't seen the Walgreens alert yet, but I know both Rite Aid and CVS are doing them. But the Rite Aid and CVSs that are doing them right now are not really accessible to folks in my neighborhood. They're more downtown. Okay, so they're more downtown. So I'm just really trying to give folks things that are really, within our community that are accessible. However, the Target, I'm lying to you because there is one in the 190. The Target at CVS is going to be starting the COVID testing. So the CVS at Target on Sion Avenue is going to be starting the COVID testing. So, I mean, that's good stuff because the more places that can do it, the more of us can get tested. That's the ramping up that's required so that Philadelphia can go from red to yellow. So that's, again, something to feel good about. Now, so if you, I'm going to put up Khalil's information again. If you need that, because Khalil can come out to you and do the antibody testing. So that's really, really exciting. Now, back to the rental assistance, because housing has become a serious, serious issue during this crisis. We know that we were about 150,000 affordable housing units short before this crisis. We are expecting, mortgage foreclosure rates to go up, right? We're expecting rental evictions to increase because of this. Well, yesterday, no, actually, that was this morning. I had to get them together because there was a whole bunch of executive orders passed down. This morning, Governor Wolf signed an executive order not to stay past the May 11th date, which was the original date of the order, suspending suspending evictions and mortgage foreclosures. So that means that banks can't file mortgage foreclosures and landlords can't file evictions. So we're still in a holding pattern there. So that's why the rental emergency assistance plan is so important, that it starts on the 12th, from the 12th through the 14th. Make sure I got it. The 15th, it's only a few days. The 16th, the 12th through the 16th. 12th through the 16th, it's only a few days. That's right. It's Tuesday the 12th through Friday the 16th. That's all you have to get in and get your application in. It's up on my page already. I will share the link. That's very important. You can only do it online. So what I'm going to tell you is it is Friday. Get your paperwork together. If you've got the eviction notice, the letter from your landlord telling you, the 10-day letter, that's what they call it, telling you that they plan to evict. If you've got your lease, make sure you have that. Make sure you have, if you were paying with money orders previously, make sure you have those to show that you were not in arrears at the time that we went into the crisis. All of those things, whatever you can think of, have it ready, because I don't actually know, I couldn't log into it, what the actual requirements were to be able to apply for the rental assistance. But I do know it's going to be limited. And I also know that I'm expecting it to be like everything else. If it's a limited time, we all got to do it at one time, I expect these systems to crash. So that means that you need to have your stuff ready and be ready. But that's still something to feel good about, a little relief in sight. And when you're talking about that little relief in sight, there's a big relief to self-employed and independent contractors everywhere. As of Wednesday, the PUA was live and actually working. So that's the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. PUA was live and working, and it's going to be backdated to the first date that would determine that we were in a pandemic here by Governor Wolf. So it's like March 13th or something. So it's the start of not just start of the CARES Act, but the start of when our state went into lockdown. And we were told that we couldn't move about on our own. And that's very important because the CARES Act was actually passed after we went into lockdown. So that's great stuff. It's going to be backdated. So maybe the money is a coming. And they said that they expected to be about the first deposits to be about 4 days later. So if we went in on Wednesday, that means that they're expecting deposits on Monday. The other thing is, if you're receiving the PUA, guess what else it triggers? It triggers that next level $600 benefit from the CARES Act. So that means that everything's going to get enacted or, activated all at the same time. So hopefully during this time, what I'm going to tell you is that check your account, because now you can go online and check your dashboard. That was called. Go into your dashboard, make sure that your bank account information is correct so you can receive your unemployment directly, and that you've got your PIN number that's been required of you. Hopefully everybody got all their stuff in the mail. If not, you can look at all those things on your dashboard so you can be ready. So the plan here is that everybody needs to be ready so they can pull the trigger. Let's talk about something else that I feel good about. I feel good that the barbers and beauticians and beauty salon owners are finally being recognized for their contribution to our community and their importance and their entire lack of profitability. They're just totally unable to work at this time. So a House bill has been introduced in order to get them some additional assistance and possibly to reopen with specific stage steps. So that's something I feel good about. But I also really, really feel good about the stylists and barbers, like my stylist. I have to give a shout out to Tawanda and Shakita over there at Slither Hair Salon, because I forget they changed the name and I always want to call it something else. But it's Slither Hair Salon over there on 54th Street, right between Berks and Montgomery, where I go, that they were proactive and they did the Barbicide COVID-19 specialized training. So that's right. You have to use the time that you have on your hands to make sure that you make yourself a little bit better. So they did the COVID training so that they'll be able to service their clients in a COVID-19 sensitive virus transmission kind of environment. So that means that the booking has to change, the services have to change, the availability, there's the measure of the square feet, all those things. And I mean, I don't know, I'm not a stylist or a barber, so that means I'm not Barbicide certified. I wasn't, scheduled to sit for those things, but that means that's a good thing, because again, they're being proactive, trying to make sure that we are healthy and safe. Zahira, yes, awesome, because they were overlooked the most. And it is. And I think that looking at the TV personalities and seeing what they look like now versus what they look like 9 weeks ago, I think that we can all agree that we miss all of our special service people are, the wax lady and the eyebrow lady and the facialist. I miss my esthetician the most. I actually think that, because I've been on, y'all know I've been fake beauty at home. I miss getting my hair done. It's something about when they shampoo it. I don't know. I get the tinglies. When I shampoo it, all I get is my arms hurting. So I'm looking forward to that, and I feel good about it. Regardless of what it is, I need to know that my stylist, and when I say I mean our community, my stylists and barbers can survive this and feed their families. And that when it's time to get back to business, I'm so excited to know, and I feel great about the fact that they're ready to serve us. So I thank them for all of their service, for struggling through this, and let you know that the community has your back. We are here to support you and your efforts because you have been viable economic alternative in our community, particularly because when we talk about the barbers, so many barbers were told, especially those who were returning citizens, that this was a great entrepreneurial spirit to have and to delve into, and a way to feed your family, where folks, because come on, this is before, Bach the block, block the box, when they couldn't ask you about whether or not you'd ever been convicted of a crime or served time. This is one of those things where they told you, hey, be an entrepreneur. So, get your trucking license so you can become an independent contractor. Become a barber so you can be, you can have your own business. So we've got to support those businesses as viable, because we are feeding families in our community off of them. And I feel really, really good about that. And I just want them to know that I am here to continue to support them in any way that I can. And also, my personal note about Feel Good Friday. Today, I got a notification from a young lady who was my first babysitting job, y'all. I remember when her mama was pregnant with her. She was my next door neighbor, her mama, not her mama, Cheryl Morris, whose birthday is today. So happy birthday, Sherry. I'm sending you all of my love, and I'm sending it to you. I know that mom and dad are watching over you, as well as your mom, because they're all up there having their coffee clutch together. You know that there's some pineapple upside down cake and some fabulous coffee just pouring between them, along with all the godly gossip. So you know that they are here with us. So when Sherry was pregnant, I was so excited because this is the first person I ever knew to have a baby, right? Um, and the second, because I told you all about Doris, to actually have a baby, and she was my next door neighbor, but she was my very, very first babysitting job. So Miss Misha Morris burst out into the world, and she is just a little diva. Okay, she was every bit of her mom. So y'all have to go on my page and see Cheryl Morris. Y'all know my page is open. So Sherry has always been, just a little beauty queen, just cute as she wanted to be. She was one of them things where, the milkshake bring all the boys to the yard. She was one of them. Sherry was so fabulous. And just, delightful personality, friendly, just desirable to be around. And so she had this baby, Misha Morris. And Misha was everything, every little bit of her mama. But Misha was my ward, and that's who I used to babysit. So I would have her and I would have Chloe right on together. And Misha told me one day that she wanted to be a lawyer like me when she grew up, because that was always my dream. So Misha saw me graduate from college and go on to law school and start practicing and all those kind of things. And, and by this time, Cheryl and her new husband didn't live near us anymore, but she and our mom and my dad were still close, and we would travel back and forth to each other's homes. And Cheryl moved away, all the way to Delaware. And it was a devastating thing for us, because we had those houses that, we were back and forth all the time. I told you, her mother would make cakes and every day bring them over to my mom and dad, or my mom and dad would bring the coffee over to her, and everybody would just sit there, and it was good times. So it was Starbucks before Starbucks. You had to sit together and drink. Well, what happened? I am so, 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 so excited. And I feel the best about the fact that Misha has passed her MBA, her multi state. She's graduating from Temple University Beasley School of Law, which is where I got my LLM, which is my advanced law degree. So I didn't go there for my regular JD, but I am so proud that one of my proteges is graduating from one of my alma maters and is going to be venturing out on her phenomenal international international law business career. She is a fabulous young lady. She's taken all the personality and style and savvy of her mom. And I hope some of those brains and wit that I have given her and tried to instill in her, and especially that time of struggle, to say that together we did this thing, Misha. I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you. I remember just 2 years ago, I was at an event and they were giving her an award, and you would have thought they was giving it to me. Okay, you would have thought that they were giving me the award. I was so proud of her being acknowledged by the NBA, the National Bar Association, Women's Business Lawyers Division. I was just so proud. And so, although I can't physically be there, I want you to know that I am wrapping my loving arms around you. And I cannot wait until the 14th, which is the 14th is the actual graduation day, but this is the vesting day today, where they bestow them with their ribbons, acknowledging that they are soon to be members of the bar. I am very, very excited, Misha, that you are joining me on this journey. And you are a prime example that the 190th has so much opportunity, education, so much will, so much fortitude. And you show that together we do better. Thank you.